another video. We are back with a new video today. This is a video we haven't tried in the channel for any
Yeah,
sports, and I'm excited for it. We are doing ceiling versus floor. Now, this is our fourth video in 5 days, so we're getting the grind, man. So
yeah, we're
I don't know
busy.
if we'll be able to keep this up next week, but I mean, for now, we're just pushing out videos. So let's get into it. I was thinking we start with the Big Ten here.
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
obviously, it's gonna be the ceiling and floor is gonna be tournament status, whether we think like, it's around the 64 or championship basically is how we're gonna rate these teams. So we are gonna start from we're not gonna start with like Washington or Minnesota. Those teams are obviously not gonna make the tournament. So we are gonna start with the USC Trojans. Now, I'm just gonna throw them out there because they have a chance to make the tournament, but they're like, I don't know, like 30% chance to make the tournament right now. And even if they do make the tournament, they'll be a first four in team. So, and this team is just not very good, in my opinion. This team is just really bad. I don't see any potential in USC this year. Like, I don't even need to go into like the analytics or anything. I just think that their floor is a first four game, and their ceiling is around a 64. I think they could win a first four, but they're not getting past the first round. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. This USC team plays Nebraska tomorrow. So that might be a game to watch out for if they can steal one against my Huskers, but hopefully not. But USC's lost two in a row. They lost to Oregon and UCLA. So those aren't great losses, especially the Oregon one. That one's terrible. But I completely agree. Their floor is the first four, and their ceiling is the round of 64.
yep. So that one is pretty straightforward, and this one I think is also going to be really straightforward. So we're just going to keep moving up these teams one by one till top of the standings. We are going to go to the Indiana Hoosiers next. I'm not going to lie, this team is probably the most overrated team in college basketball. I think USC honestly deserves a bit over them. I'm not going to lie. Indiana has done nothing to prove themselves worthy of being a tournament team, in my opinion. Yeah, they beat Purdue. Yeah, they beat UCLA, but at the end of the day, they're like 1-10 in quad one. Like they're just not a good team. Their Ken Palm rankings are really bad too. So first four is their floor, 64 is their ceiling. I think they'll get probably a 10 seed,
What's up,
but
chat?
they just suck. So that's all I
Yeah,
got. Stick to
I
football.
yeah, stick to football. Completely agree. Indiana's not a good basketball team. I've been saying it all season long. Um, they're just not good. I'm sorry, they're just not. They can't beat any teams to save their lives. They beat Wisconsin in overtime, but Wisconsin one of those weird iffy teams. I agree. Their
Hmm.
floor is the first four, and their ceiling, yeah, their ceiling is going to be round of 64.
Yep, totally agree. All right, moving on. This is the first interesting one of the video, and I am curious what you think of this team. So I'm going to let you say your thoughts first. What do you think of the Ohio State Buckeyes? Because this is a team that, I mean, is capable of beating Wisconsin. This is a
Yeah,
team that's capable of beating USC, but they have some pretty bad losses. So you're the expert on Big Ten, so I'll let you take
yeah,
away on it.
yeah. So Ohio State has always been one of those teams for the last 4 or 5 years that they've always just kind of been in the middle of the pack there in the Big Ten, which the Big Ten's always been a good conference. It's probably one of the better Big Ten we've seen in the last couple of years. Um, Obviously, Iowa was kind of at the top there for a little bit, but they're still in the mix too. But Ohio State, they can beat anybody. But most of the time, they're kind of my comparison for them would be the 2021 Nebraska football team, where they're always
Mm.
right there. But they just can't get the job done. So Ohio State can hang with the best teams in the country. I can believe that, but can they beat them? I don't know. Um, so they're a really weird team. Um, Floor, obviously, round of 64, and their ceiling is going to be I'm gonna say the round of 32. I think they can win one
Mm,
game in the tournament
okay.
if they get a good draw, though. If they get a good draw, if they don't get a good draw, I think they're going to be fried. But Ohio State is a team to look out for. Um, you probably don't want to play them if you're going into March and you play them in the first round. They're one of the teams. Them and Texas are two teams that I would not want to be seeing in the first couple of rounds in March. So Ohio State is a good team, but they're not a great team.
Interesting. See, I don't really know what to think of the Buckeyes. Obviously, they have Bruce Thornton, who's a top 25 player in the country. He's probably one of the better guards in the
Yeah,
country. And you just look at it from a standpoint, they're 1-9 in quad one. I'm going to be saying that for forever,
appreciate the sub
practically,
chat.
until the season's over. Because, that's really bad. 1-9 is super pathetic. But, they've been able to hang with all these teams. They played Michigan tough twice. Actually, no, they got waxed the second time we played them. But first time, played Michigan, 12-point game. Very good. They obviously played Virginia to 4 points, which Virginia, we might talk about them today. We might get into them tomorrow, but I think Virginia is a very, very good team. So obviously they're okay in KenPom, nothing special, nothing great, but it'll be interesting if they're a first four team. Actually, they probably will
Yeah,
be. I don't know if they'll even make the tournament, honestly, but Ohio State is floor, in my opinion, is the first four. I think there's a very strong possibility they're the last team in, and they get beat by Missouri in the first four. So if
yeah.
they play Missouri, they're fried. But if they somehow get a last four bye as an 11 seed, if they get a last four bye as an 11 seed, I think they could run the table all the way to the Sweet 16. Now that may be a hot
Interesting.
take, but you just look at these
I
11
don't hate
seeds,
that though.
man, and
Yeah, I don't hate
it's
that.
just ideal. It's just really ideal to have them be an 11 seed in the tournament. And I don't know. I just think if they get the right matchup, they can make the Sweet 16. So
Yeah,
hopefully they
interesting.
don't lose to Oral Roberts again, because that was 2
Yikes.
years ago. That was one of the worst choke jobs I've seen, losing
Yeah, that
to
was
number
pretty bad.
15. But they won't be a 2 seed this year, which is good, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. This team, we're starting to get into the most interesting teams here, honestly. These teams are probably more interesting than the top. So we are going to discuss the Iowa Hawkeyes next. And boy, this team is a very 50-50 team. They have one of the lowest floors and the highest ceilings in the tournament, in my opinion. They obviously have Bennett Sturts, who's creates space, who's great at making shots off the dribble. Their offense is good. Their defense is all right. This team is a true wild card. And right now they're probably projected as a 7 seed, an 8 seed, I think. A 7 or an 8
They're in
seed.
that 8-9 range, I'm pretty
They're in the
sure.
8-9 range. Okay.
Mhm.
So they're gonna get a decent draw in the first round, but I don't know if they can win their second round opponent. I just don't. I just think that
Yeah, they're gonna have to go
all
against the
these
1
1
seed, yep.
seeds are really stacked this year unless they get a 7 seed, which I don't know if is likely, but they're probably gonna have to play like Duke or Iowa State. I'm guessing they'll play Iowa State in the second round, honestly. I think that would be peak.
Which that would be a favorable match. That would be a good matchup for Iowa because they played them really close this the first time that they played this season. So,
Yeah.
and it
So
was in Ames too. It was not
yeah.
in Iowa City. So, if they have a
So
neutral site, that can make it a lot easier.
yeah. So if they play Iowa State, which there's a good chance they will in the second round, I think they'll probably win the first round game. I think they can win. But if they play Duke, they're obviously losing. So I'm gonna say their floor is a first round exit. And I'll say their ceiling, house may be hot, but I think they can make it past the first weekend. I think they can make the Sweet 16. I really do. So if it's against Iowa
Okay.
State, sure, but it just is very matchup dependent.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean Iowa, they're such a weird team, dude. Because they're let's not forget they lost to who else? They lost to Maryland and they lost to
yeah,
Minnesota this
they did
season,
lose to
but they
Maryland.
beat Nebraska. They played Purdue close 2 times. So they're a really, really weird team. Bennett Sturts is one of the better players in the country. He's probably a top 5 player in the conference. I think you could argue. I mean, he's really freaking good. Having lost to him, he's really good. But this Iowa team is just so inconsistent. They play close games against really bad teams, and then they can't really do much against the good teams. But that 8-9 is very interesting because, like Jonas said, they get Iowa State in the second round. That's a very it's a good matchup for them. But I don't see them doing really anything. If they get the 7 seed, maybe. If the only way I see them getting a 7 seed is if they can beat Nebraska again next week, and if they have a good conference tournament, maybe. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm going to say their floor is first round exit.
Mm.
And I'm going to say, I don't want to say they're a Sweet 16 team because I just don't feel like they're that good. So I'm not going to. I'm going to say their ceiling is the round of 32 because I do not trust them at all.
Interesting.
The only way that's going to happen if they make the Sweet 16, Bennett Sturt's going to have to score like 35 points per game.
I mean, he's capable of doing that.
Yeah, but good teams, better teams, like if they play a Big 12 team, better teams are going to figure that out other than the other teams in the Big 10. The Big 10 teams, they figured them out, and that's why they beat Iowa. So,
yeah. All right, moving on. This team, I am definitely have an interesting take on. It's the UCLA Bruins. Now, UCLA, and honestly, shouldn't even be in the Big Ten. I just think they're still a Pac-12 team. I don't know. It's just weird watching UCLA basketball in the Big Ten, but I guess that's just how it's going to be for forever, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, right now they are projected as a 7 seed. They, I mean, are 40th in KenPom. They obviously beat Illinois, but they got waxed by Michigan. So this team is very interesting. In my opinion, UCLA is the most disappointing team in basketball this year. They were supposed to be really, really good. Supposed to be one of the best teams in the Big 20 or Big 10, if not the best. And this team is obviously like 2-10 in quad one. They don't have anything going for them in quad one. And I'm not gonna lie. I just don't see anything in this team. A lot of people think that this is similar to the 2021 UCLA Bruins when they played Gonzaga in the Final Four and they made that run, but I don't see it. I mean, yeah, it sounds stupid, but that's what legitimately some people think. So I'm going to be honest. This may be really hot, but I think their floor and ceiling is around a 64. I don't think they can win a game. I mean,
interesting.
They have talent. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Donovan Dent is very good, but this team is just very I don't know why they get praised. I really don't. What have they done all season? Nothing. Indiana beat them. So if Indiana can beat them, I think any team can beat them, including Miami, Ohio from the MAC could beat them in a game. So if they end up being a 6 seed, so UCLA sucks. This may end up biting me, considering a lot of people have them as a sleeper, but I'll stand by it. Their ceiling is not winning a game, so maybe crazy, but
okay. Yeah, and you just said a couple seconds ago, what has UCLA done this season? Well, let me tell you. They lost to Arizona.
Yeah.
They lost to Cal. They lost to Gonzaga. They lost to Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan State. This team is not good. I don't care that they're 19-9. That's a solid record, right? But all of their losses have been really bad. All the times that they play any good team, they get just shellacked. And they played a close game with Washington. Now, no diss to them, but they're not making the tournament for sure unless they can somehow win the Big Ten. But I'm pretty sure they're at the bottom. They lost to Indiana, which is terrible. They kind of got waxed by Ohio State, which, I mean, I don't like this UCLA team at all. And I'm going to completely agree with you. Their floor and ceiling is round of 64. I don't like anything about UCLA, what they're doing. And they're just not a really good coach team either. I mean,
Yeah.
their coach, I don't even remember his name, but he's just raging at everybody for anything. And I think that's just gonna cause for major disappointment come NCAA tournament.
Yep. I'm actually shocked we agreed on that.
Yeah.
It's, I'll take it. So moving on, I'll let you talk about this team too. It's the Wisconsin Badgers. Now,
Yeah.
I am very torn with this team, as most of the community is. I think nobody knows what they're going to get from this team. They probably have the highest floor and ceiling in the tournament. I said that about Ohio State, but like this is a team that is a true 50-50. So I'll let you say or have your words on this first.
Okay. Yeah, Wisconsin, I really, really liked what Wisconsin was doing to start the season. I mean, obviously, they had a little bit of a rough patch there to begin the year, but they have continued um, to surprise me. They also surprised me yesterday when they lost by 14 to Oregon. Oregon,
Mm,
the second worst team in the Big Ten. They lost by 14. And we're coming up. March is in 2 days, ladies and gentlemen. And Wisconsin's losing to Oregon. So Wisconsin is, again, it's one of those weird 50-50 teams. So that's why I'm going to say their floor is round of 64 because I'm pretty sure they're projected an eight or a nine. And those games are always toss ups. You can never, ever really predict those ones correctly. Everyone always gets one of those ones wrong because it's really just tough to predict 8 versus 9, right? But this team to me has shown that they can win against really, really good teams. So with that, I'm going to say that Wisconsin's ceiling is going to be the Sweet 16 because I think if they can get a favorable matchup in the second round against 2 or a 1 seed, honestly, I think you look at a team like if they had to play UConn, I think that's a team that's not playing the best right now. I know they just absolutely whooped St. John's the other night, which we're definitely going to have a conversation about that one. But UConn has been proven to kind of choke in some games. Wisconsin loves to upset teams. So I think if Wisconsin's an underdog in all of their games, I think they have a really good chance. But if they're favored, I don't like their chances.
yeah. Everything I was going to say, you said perfectly. Obviously, Wisconsin is going to be in people's Final Four. I have a feeling some people are going to pick them in the Final Four, but
I agree.
this team is just not built to win March Madness. They're way too inconsistent, and a lot of these teams that are really good and win it are consistent. They know how to get the job done. They may lose a game here or there to an unranked team, but like for the most part, they don't have like 10 losses like what Wisconsin does. Let me see how many losses they got. They have
Wisconsin's 19-9 or something like
Yeah,
that.
they have 9 losses. I mean, that's just too much going into March, in my opinion, if you're a Big Ten team. Obviously, they're
Mhm.
20th on offense, 63rd on defense. They have the capability of beating any team, but I don't see them stringing multiple wins against multiple great teams. That's just not how Wisconsin plays. So, Wisconsin is a very 50-50 team, and I just think that they can get to the Sweet 16, but they can also lose in the first round, which is my
Mhm.
ceiling and floor. I don't see them going any higher. A lot of people do, but they're way too inconsistent. So you got to be
Yeah.
Oregon if you want to
Yeah,
be able to
that's.
make
I
it past
honestly
the
might have
second
had them
weekend.
higher if they didn't lose to Oregon. I might have had them going Elite Eight if they didn't lose to Oregon,
Yeah,
because that would have shown me that they can beat bad teams too.
yeah,
But that might change. I don't know. They still have the Big Ten tournament, which they've beaten a lot of the higher up teams in the Big Ten. So if they get another matchup with them, uh, maybe who knows? Do they have another big game? Yeah, they have. Next Saturday they play at Purdue to end off the season. So that'll be
that's
an
huge.
interesting game for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on. This is where we get into the real teams
Yeah.
that people consider favorites. We're starting off with a very interesting one with and it's Purdue. Now, there's three things that are guaranteed in life, ladies and gentlemen. One of them is death, one of them is taxes, and one of them is Purdue disappointing in the tournament. I mean,
That's true. That is very true.
ever since they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, I just think that this team has been cursed. This team always seems to blow big games. This team is always good in the regular season. And you always know Purdue, when it comes down to the tournament, they're expected to lose, especially in an upset. So
Mhm.
this year is no different. This year's honestly the same old Purdue. Great offense, mediocre defense. Same old Braden Smith, who's like 27 years old playing college basketball. Like, he
Yeah.
got 1,000 assists last night against Michigan State, but he still couldn't get the win, which is embarrassing. So I think Purdue could lose in the first round. I think they could. There's a I mean, that's really hot considering they're a 3 seed, but they lost to a 1 seed like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So they've lost to a 16 seed before. I mean, I could definitely see them losing to a 14 seed. I mean, that's a given. Like, there's bound to be a 14 seed to win this year. I'm calling it. I just think there is. And Purdue has a strong chance of that. But, I mean, a lot of people are going to put them in their Final Four. Some people, I think, could put them in their championship game just because of how good their offense is. But I think their ceiling is probably a Sweet 16. And that I just don't know, man. I just don't know. Could this be the year that Purdue does something? I mean, probably
Probably
not.
not.
But would it surprise me if they actually do something because they haven't done anything in forever that they probably should get something done? I mean, yeah. So Purdue's a weird team. I mean, they're just guaranteed to lose in the tournament every year. So Sweet 16 is a good spot for them for their ceiling.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is not one of the better Purdue teams we've seen. We've seen much better Purdue teams with like Zach Edey and stuff, and he
Yeah.
lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. So, I completely agree with everything that you said. Purdue could most definitely lose in the first round, and I also think that their ceiling is the Sweet 16. So,
All right, man.
not much else I got about Purdue.
We're pretty much on point with all these teams. Like,
We
this is
might be
crazy.
starting disagreeing here with the top 4 in the Big Ten here, but
Whoa.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay.
There's one team I think we're gonna disagree on for sure.
All right. Moving on. I think this is might be the first one. It's the Illinois fighting Illini. Now, this team, my opinion, is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. This team obviously hasn't played basketball. Didn't play basketball on Saturday, but they played UCLA. They didn't play over the on Tuesday or Wednesday. Is what I'm trying to say.
Big game tonight, though.
They played Michigan, which
Whew.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I don't know what it is, but Illinois always never plays on a Saturday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
They always play on like a Sunday, which seems really weird to me. I don't know. When I watch Illinois, it's always on like a random Friday with no other game on. So that's that.
Yeah.
Anyways, they have the best offense in the country. We know that. Their offense is very, very good, led by the freshman Wagler, who I don't know where he's going to be in the draft, but he's really something. But their defense is spotty. It's not ideal, but it's not the worst I've seen. But I mean, if you give up a game-winning layup with 3 seconds left, full court drive, like I just think that there's probably something similar to that's going to happen in the tournament. So what I've seen from Illinois is just a great offensive team, but a very vulnerable team. So I think their floor is around 32. I think that they'll win their first round matchup no matter what. They'll be like a 3 seed. I don't see them blowing to a 14 seed, but I think their ceiling could be a Final Four. I really do. I just think that
Yeah.
this team just has the offense. They have the guard play, which guards are probably the biggest thing you need in March is guards facilitating the court, getting after it, and they have one of the best in Keaton Wagler. So I really like Illinois' chances. I don't expect them to make the championship, they're going to be a dark horse for people to make the championship and win it all. But I think a Final Four
Yeah.
is a fair spot for their ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said we were going to disagree on this one, and you're wrong. We're not going to disagree. I agree. Illinois has a really, really good offense. I expect them to win their first round if they get a favorable one, which they should. And they're going to be able to pick where they want to play at. So there's that too. So I think Illinois has, again, their defense is weird. It's not fantastic, but it could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't expect them to make the Natty, but I think that if they can get in the right kind of set, if they can start getting on a roll, no one's going to be able to slow them down offensively. At least they're just going to be able to outscore teams.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be able to potentially let them make it to a Final Four.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Now we are in the best teams, in my opinion. We are starting with the Michigan State Spartans. Now, Michigan State obviously beat Purdue last night. It was a great game, but I'm not gonna lie, Purdue kind of crapped themselves in that game. Like, that was really bad play by Purdue, but nonetheless, Michigan State got the job done based off of their defense and their coaching. As we all know, that's going to be the philosophy for March is having good defense and trusting somebody to step up, whether it's Jeremy Fears. But this team is like Purdue. They're very similar in every single year. They play around their expectations. They get around the Sweet 16, and they don't exceed that. So I don't think this year is anything else. I think that this team is just not very good, in my opinion. I mean, they're all right, but Jeremy Fears is not a top scorer. He's not your number one option.
No.
He's a defender. If anything, he should be focusing on defense, not being a two-way player. So Cohen Carr can't shoot the ball. Like Cam Ward is 46% from the free throw line this year, which is another thing about Michigan State is they can't make their free throws. So champions make their free throws, so that's kind of a thing to look at. And Michigan State cannot make a free throw to save their life with Cam Ward on the line, at least. So their floor is around the 32. Their ceiling is a Sweet 16. They can get into the second weekend of March, but once they play a team like Illinois, maybe, like Nebraska, maybe, or like Vanderbilt, maybe, I don't like their odds at all.
Yeah, I don't like Michigan State at all. The 23-5 record is very misleading. They really just can't beat a good team. The only way they can beat another good team is if the other good team just beats themselves. And that's what happened last night. Purdue, we saw that they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Nebraska. They just can't beat a good team that doesn't beat themselves. And discipline for these teams in March is really, really important to not beat yourself. So I'm actually going to disagree with you here on the floor. I'm going to say they could potentially lose in the first round. So I'm going to say their floor is around a 64. But I do agree they can make the Sweet 16 potentially. But their offense is just too lackluster for me. So I'm going to have Michigan State ceiling be the Sweet 16.
Okay. All right. Obviously, you know what team is next. It's the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You know what spot they're going to get here. They're probably going to be a 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They're going to get a double or a triple bye, I think. So have the floor.
That's massive.
It's all you.
All right. Yeah, Nebraska. I mean, obviously, we had that rough stretch there a couple weeks back. We lost to Iowa about a week ago, but we won 2 games in a row against 2 bad teams. But that's good because you always want to beat the bad teams. Now we have 3 big games in a row here. We have a game against USC tomorrow, against a bubble team in USC on the road. But I don't think there's any fans that actually go to USC games. So I don't know. Then we play at UCLA on Tuesday. kind of just trash on UCLA. So hopefully we don't lose that one. And then we end the season next Sunday against Iowa. So I obviously I'm going to pick Nebraska to do well. So, but the one thing I will say is the offense scares me a lot. Price Sanford is freaking insane. He leads the Big Ten in 3-pointers made. He's one of the best shooters in the country. But if defenses can slow him down, the game's practically over because we can't figure out a way to score. Sam Hoiberg only scored like 12 points with like his season high yesterday, but it was against Maryland. So I'm going to say Nebraska obviously has one of the best defenses in the country, and defense and coaching is one of the best things, like we just said about Michigan State. But this Nebraska defense, I will say, is one of the most disciplined defenses I've ever seen. They are really, really good. They will not let you score. So just because of the defense and because of the high seed, and hopefully we can do some good stuff in the Big Ten tournament, I'm going to say Nebraska's ceiling is going to be the Elite Eight because I think we can get a favorable draw and just defense our way out of it. Now, I will say the floor will be the round of 64 because this team lacks experience. This is a very young team, which is good. So we'll have them for the future, but you never really know how you're gonna do in your first go. Like we saw 2 years ago, Nebraska made the tournament, lost Texas A&M by like 20 in the first round in the 8-9 game, which was extremely depressing. But Mast is going to be a difference maker, especially if the other team doesn't have a great big. But yeah, Nebraska is a really interesting team. They're not as dominant as they were when they started 20-0, but I will say that they're figuring it out. They just got to win their next 3 of the regular season and take care of the Big Ten tournament, and then I'll feel more confident. But for now, I think the Elite Eight and the round of 64 is the way to go for Nebraska.
Yeah. I mean, this team has a very low floor, has a very high ceiling, in my opinion, at least. I just really like the top of the Big Ten teams. It's very matchup dependent, in my opinion. They're obviously all going to be separated in different regions, and someone's just going to get a bad draw. So that's the luck of the nature. They're all probably going to be 3 seeds. So Nebraska, in my opinion, its floor is around 32. I think they get the job done in the first round, no matter who they play. The 14 seeds are just not very good this year. They're really not. All the good teams are 12 seeds, obviously, but there's just a big fall off when you get to the 13 and 14 seeds. So they're looking at a 14 seed this year in the tournament. I would almost guarantee you that they would win that. I hope they would win that. I mean, that's really bad if they don't. I don't think they're Virginia, but they could be the next Virginia this year, losing to Furman. I don't know. But their ceiling, though, in my opinion, has got to be the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16 is kind of that spot where like competition actually starts to get real. Like that's where all the mid majors get separated, and that's where the teams that I believe truly deserve to be there to play. So Nebraska has the same ceiling as Michigan State and same ceiling as Purdue, but they could lose in the second round. So that's all I got. I say Michigan State will be a 3 seed and make it to the Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Michigan State. I mean, their defense can stop anybody, but their offense is just not very good. Like Jeremy Fears, I said it a million times, but he's not a 2-way player. He's a defensive specialist, so he's the best defensive guard in the country. But I mean, if you're asking him to average 20 a game, that's just not very realistic at all. So, and they can't shoot free throws. So that's my biggest take on Michigan State right there. So that's all I got. So
yeah.
Moving on, let's do another region here, and then we'll probably call it after this because we're already. What time are we at? Like
we're at 32 minutes.
We're at 32
34
minutes.
minutes. We didn't do Michigan.
Oh, that's right. How can I
We
forget about
forgot the
Michigan? So
Wolverines.
obviously, Michigan. So obviously, Michigan. I'm just gonna keep it real short and brief. They lost to Duke, but they're still like one in KenPom. No, they're two in KenPom. Have the 5 offense, have the 2 defense. They have Yaxel. They have Elliot Cadeau. They have the second best front court in all of college basketball. Like this team, obviously can win a championship. That's their ceiling. Their floor is the Elite Eight. I think that like they've shown that they can blow out pretty much every single team. But I don't. I have a really high floor for them. I think that they're guaranteed to make it in the second weekend of March, and that's kind of crazy to say considering that's like 3 games that they got to play. But Michigan State or Michigan has a really high floor, has a really high ceiling. They're the best team in the Big Ten for a reason.
Yep, completely agree. Michigan, their ceiling, win a national championship. This is one of the select few that I think can actually win the national championship this year.
Yeah,
And I definitely think that they will probably most likely be competing for it in Indianapolis this year. But yeah, I think I'm going to say my floor for Michigan is the Elite Eight, but I think you could argue that their floor is just the Final Four because of how dominant that they have been. And we know that they're not going to have to go against an Arizona or a Duke like that until the Final Four. So
yeah,
I think Michigan is a really really good team, and I think you could argue that they might be legitimately the only legit team in the Big Ten that actually can win a national championship.
yeah. I totally agree with that. All right, moving on. We're probably going to go into the weakest conference, and then we'll hit up the SEC and the Big 12 tomorrow. That's
Yep.
that's going to be a lot to discuss tomorrow because those
Yeah.
2 conferences are the most stacked. These are 2 weaker conferences, so at least in my opinion. So we're
Yeah.
going to start it off with how low do I want to go with these teams? Like obviously Florida
Should
State.
we cap it at Tech, Virginia Tech?
Yeah, yeah. We're not going to discuss Florida State.
Yeah,
Florida
we'll
State
skip them. They're trash.
is trash. But we will start with Virginia Tech, who has a projected chance of making the tournament of like 5%. I think they're like they're like plus 800 to make the tournament. Obviously, I said they're very underrated team though. They're probably one of the better teams in the ACC, even though their record doesn't show for it. But my problem with Virginia Tech is number one, their coach is on the hot seat. I think at least that's kind of an issue. Number two, they don't really have a scorer on their team. Amani Heinsberry is averaging 15 a game, which is not ideal for your number one scorer. And I mean, let's see, they beat Virginia. Did they beat
They
UMC?
lost. They lost to Florida State though.
They did lose to Florida State. Who else? They beat somebody really good. I'm trying to think. They beat Clemson, which Clemson was ranked at the time. So I could see this team's floor is obviously losing in the first 4. I don't think they're going to be a first round bye. There's not a possibility they get a first round bye. So first 4 or is their floor, their ceiling. I could see them making it to the round of 32. So that's all I got.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Virginia Tech, but they're 7-8 in conference play, which to me that doesn't show very much. And like Jonah said, they don't have a pure scorer, the number one option. So for me, I think their floor is the first 4, and I'm gonna say their ceiling is round of 64. I don't really think that they'll get a favorable enough matchup to be able to move on.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the SMU Mustangs. Now, I really like this team. This team
Yeah.
is very fascinating, in my opinion. They obviously have Boopy Miller, who, I mean, is a great guard. I mean, they have great guard play, which is what you need in March. But they're kind of towards 40 in KenPom, which I don't like, but I don't hate. And they obviously beat Louisville, which is good. They beat North Carolina. and they beat Texas A&M, but they have some bad losses too. So this team has a really low floor and a very high ceiling. I think their floor is obviously around the 64th. They're going to be a 9 seed more than likely, so there's a good chance they lose in the first round. So, but their ceiling, man, I think that this is a team that a lot of people are going to underappreciate. I think that this team could go to Sweet 16. Now, that may be hot or not, I think, but I think that if they get UConn in the second round, I think they could beat UConn. So, Sweet 16 is my ceiling for this team.
Yeah. I agree. We've both been kind of high on SMU the last week or two, couple, however long we've been doing this for college basketball. But yeah, I like SMU. He's that boogie dude's a dog. Um, so I think I agree. Their floor is definitely round of 64. Being in the 8-9 game, I said it earlier. That's just a 50-50 toss up most of the time, trying to predict those. But I think that, like you said, if they get like a UConn second round, they this team could definitely go to the Sweet 16. And maybe farther, but I'm gonna keep them at the Sweet 16 just for now.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
yeah. All right, moving on. This team is very interesting because they're ahead of SMU, but they are have a very good chance of not making the tournament. They're truly a 50-50 team at this point. It's literally 50% whether they get in or if they don't. They're fighting for Ohio State for that last spot. It's the California Bears, California Golden Bears. I don't really know where to start this team. They obviously beat SMU, so you could say they're better, but I don't know. They obviously beat Boston College and Stanford, but they don't really have an impressive win. They obviously beat North Carolina, but I mean, a lot of these teams beat North Carolina, so I don't really consider that a good win. But that's the only thing they really got to show for it. They beat UCLA, and let me see where they're at in KenPom. California, let's see. 60th in KenPom, so that's pretty low. That's kind of where they should be at. Is they should probably be the 60th out of the 68 best teams in college basketball. So I don't know if they're going to get in the tournament or not. I'm just going to say their floor is a first round or first four, and their ceiling is around the 64. I don't just see them winning their first round period. So
Yep, completely agree. Honestly, I really don't have anything else to add. I mean, they really haven't beaten anyone, um,
yeah,
like at all. And they lost to Syracuse in double overtime. They got
yeah,
shellacked by Clemson. But if Cal wants a legit chance, they're gonna have to win out, uh, which is doable. I mean, not none of the rest of their games they play. They have 3 games left. None of them are above 500. So if they really want a chance at competing for a spot in the tournament, they're gonna have to win out.
yeah.
So I have the same ceiling and floor as you.
All right. I really want to hear your take on this one, and it's Louisville. So what are your thoughts on Louisville? Because I still got
Yeah,
to think about them
Louisville.
a bit.
I don't. Do you know what they're projected right now?
7.
As a 7. Well, I will say this: Louisville can't beat a good team to save their life. Um, they really just can't. The fact that they're still ranked is hilarious to me. Um, but they got a game against Clemson tomorrow, which Clemson's also fighting for a spot, which I guess they're coming up soon. But uh, yeah, I don't really like Louisville at all. If they're a 7 seed, yeah, there's usually a 10 seed that'll just come out of nowhere and win. We saw this. Wasn't that Clemson last year? Weren't they a 7? McNeese was a 10.
No, they were a 5. McNeese was
Oh,
a
that's
12.
right. That's right. Yeah. But anyway, you can see 7 seeds lose some of the times, and then they're gonna have to go play a really good team after that. So for me, Louisville, they can't beat a good team to save their life. But I will give them credit in saying, for the most part, they beat the teams that they're supposed to. I would say that their only exception would be against probably Stanford. I would say. That's the only team that they've lost to, and it wasn't a terrible loss by any means. Like, they lost by 4 on the road. Like, that's not a terrible loss. So I'll give them credit in saying that they win the games that they're supposed to. But just for the fact that it's March and they're unpredictable, I'm going to say that their floor is a first round exit and their ceiling is round of 32.
Yeah, I have the exact same floor and ceiling. I completely agree with you. I think that they have some great guards, Mikel Brown and Ryan Conwell, some of the best guards in the country. I love them both. So that's a bonus for them. But you lost to UNC without Caleb Wilson. So I don't really got much else to say on Louisville. They're obviously
Yeah.
decent in KenPom. They're not spectacular. But I mean, if you're losing to UNC without Caleb Wilson, you don't deserve to be ranked. And a 7 versus 10 game is like a 50-50 in my opinion. Still, like it's not much better than an 8 and 9. Like 7 and 10 upsets happen all the time. At 10 versus 7, it's almost 50% of the time, I think. So Louisville, I've never been high on them. I'm not going to be high on them. I don't have a reason to be high on them. So that's that. And so that brings us to Clemson. Now, obviously, Louisville and Clemson are playing tomorrow. So there's that. But Clemson is in the same boat as Louisville. I'm going to be honest. They lose big games and they win the ones they're supposed to. And they're similar in the KenPom too. Let me see what they're at in KenPom, Clemson and Louisville. Let me see. Are they that low? I don't know. I can't find them. Anyways, Clemson hasn't done a single thing to impress me this year in March. All they've done is been underwhelming. They were supposed to be one of the premier teams this year. They were supposed to be a
Yeah.
hungry team after getting upset by McNeese State, and I've seen anything but hungry. So Clemson, similar to UCLA, is probably my second most disappointing team in college basketball. So same. I mean, their floor 64, their ceiling is 32.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to disagree on one of those. I don't like Clemson at all. They've won 2 games all month. I think they're on a 4-game skid as of right now. Here, let me look. This month they have lost to Virginia Tech, Duke, Wake Forest, and Florida State all in a row. Then they have Louisville tomorrow, and then UNC and Georgia Tech to end off the regular season. So I really don't like Clemson at all. And I'm going to say that their ceiling and floor is round of 64. I would not pick them at all in the first round, no matter who they're playing.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Now we are getting into
The
the
interesting
decent
stuff.
team. The decent teams. I'm not gonna lie though, it's kind of boring to talk about Clemson and Louisville for a little bit, but this is a true wild card. Let me tell you, it is NC State, the Wolfpack, led by Darian Williams, who is really good. Now, NC State, coached by Wade Taylor, obviously McNeese State legend, and this year they've been very up and down, roller coaster of a season. They
Yeah.
beat UNC. I mean, they've lost. I mean, they've lost quite a bit too, but they're 25th in KenPom for that part, and this team is just weird. Like this team has a very low floor but a very high ceiling, and I just really don't know where to put them. I just don't. I mean, I think they'll definitely have the chance to lose in the first round, depending who they play. If they play like Wisconsin, for example, which is
Yeah,
they
that's a
might play,
toss up.
there's a very good chance they lose that game. But like I said, if they get UConn, they can beat UConn. I think any 8 seed can beat UConn right now. That's how bad UConn is. So it may be hot or not, but I think they can make the Sweet 16. So their floor is 64. Their ceiling is a Sweet 16.
Again, we just continue to agree. NC State, they've again had a really weird season. Um, like one day they'll just straight up lose to Louisville by like 40 points. But then another day they'll beat North Carolina uh, by 20 practically. So this team's really unpredictable to me. Uh, but they've proven that they can beat some good teams. So I'm agreeing with you in saying their floor is the round of 32 or round of 64, and the ceiling is the Sweet 16.
Yeah. All right. North Carolina Tar Heels are up next. Now, I still got to process this one too. These teams in the ACC that are in the middle are just very weird to me. So I'll let you say it first. So as I think here. So what do you got
For which team?
for North Carolina Tar Heels?
North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina, obviously another team that's had a really, really weird season. Obviously, Caleb Wilson is out for who knows when. He said he's trying to come back for March Madness. But North Carolina obviously has had a bit of a weird stretch. They lost NC State. They kind of went on kind of a downturn after beating Duke. They lost to Miami and they lost to NC State. But they beat Louisville at home, which Louisville, whatever you want to say about them, um, they're a ranked team. So any ranked win is a good win. Tomorrow they got Virginia Tech, who we just said is a really interesting team, underrated team to look at. And then the end of the year against Clemson and Duke. So this team is really weird because I don't know. Are they projected a 6 seed?
Yeah, 6.
6. So this, I'm going to say this. I could easily see this team losing in the first round, especially
Yep.
if Wilson does not come back in time. But I will say, Wilson comes back, this is a very dangerous team. So I'm going to say North Carolina. I don't know if it's a hot take or not. North Carolina my ceiling for them is the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
I think they're a good team. They they're 22-6, and they've lost 2 of the games without their best player. So this is a good team. They'll get another shot at Duke. Hopefully, try to beat them and sweep them this season, which I don't think is going to happen. But North Carolina is a really good team to look at.
Yeah. Obviously, with North Carolina, I'm just gonna hate on them. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, go for it.
I just think that this team, like even with Caleb Wilson, was all right, but it's not really a ranked team. Like this team doesn't really scream ranked to me. Like they scream more like top 30. And with Caleb Wilson, they barely beat Ohio State by 1 point, and they barely beat Kentucky, which Kentucky we'll get to sometime. But Kentucky is a very bad team this year. They're nowhere near what they once were. And without him, with him, they beat Virginia. Without him, lost to NC State, but they did beat Louisville by 3 points. So their floor, they could obviously lose in the first round. Their ceiling, their ceiling is the Sweet 16. I don't think that Caleb Wilson will be that fresh. I don't think he'll be really into it. If I'm being honest, I don't you know what I mean. But
Yeah, I got you.
I just don't see a world where he's like perfect, where what he once was, back to normal shape after like 2 games of basketball. So he'll come back for the ACC tournament, but he's not going
Is
to be
he actually
100%.
going to do that?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
I just don't see a world where he's 100%, and I don't see a world where Seth Tribal is carrying the team. So that's that. All right, moving on to my most interesting team. This team is one of the hottest teams in college basketball. It's the Miami Hurricanes. Miami, this is a good team. Like they didn't play great at the beginning of the season. They obviously lost Florida State and Clemson in California, but they've really turned it around. Beat NC State, North Carolina, Florida State. This team, I don't want to say they're legit, but they're pretty good. Trey Donaldson is really good. They have Malik they have Malik, who's really good too. He's averaging 20 games. This is a team that is a really low floor and a really high ceiling, but probably, in my opinion, this team is gonna be a 7 seed, maybe as high as a 5. I don't think they'll be a 5, but I think this team's floor is around the 32. I think they might be guaranteed to win their. I think they're probably guaranteed to win their first round matchup. I'm not gonna lie, but their ceiling is the Elite Eight. That may be really hot. I don't know if that. I don't know, but this team just screams underrated. They just do. So
Yeah. This team, I will say this. We can put this on the record. This team will break some brackets for sure. No one is going to see this team coming just because they don't have a number next to their name. So, for me, I gotta say, I gotta agree in that their floor is around a 32. I'm pretty confident that they're gonna win their first round matchup because they're gonna be the team who's upsetting a bunch of them, not the one losing in the first round. But I have to say that their ceiling for me is Sweet 16 because for me personally, they haven't done enough to give me a reason to warrant giving them a higher than that, like an Elite Eight. But I do think that this team can. They just got to have a good ACC tournament. But I do like this Miami team. They can definitely make a run and surprise a lot of people.
yeah. All right, moving on to a team. I said Miami was underrated. This is the team that is the most underrated in the ACC. I really like this team a lot. I mean, I don't like when Duke plays them, but it's the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia is really hot too. Not a lot of people are talking about them. I don't know why, because they're 13th at KenPom, and yeah, they barely beat Ohio State. Yeah, they lost to UNC, but last 2 games beat Miami and beat NC State. They beat NC State by 30. So NC State is a solid team. They're not anything special, but all I gotta say is look out for the Virginia Cavs because they have really good stats on them, and they've been having a really good season. They've been by far the second best team in the ACC. It's not even been close. Like, only team that can challenge them for that second spot is North Carolina, and I just think they weren't playing nearly as good as basketball as what they were now. So I get they lost to Butler too, but they're a completely different team from when they lost to Butler. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
So with the metrics of how good they are as a 13 for KenPom, with the record.
We lost him. He's probably getting a phone call.
So, anyways, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Anyways, what I was trying to say with Virginia until I got interrupted is that they've been the hottest team in college basketball. They've won like 9, or they've won, how many games have they won in a row? 3, 6, 9 games in a row. And they've been respectable teams. Ohio State, Miami, NC State are all respectable teams. So I think the floor is around a 32, but their ceiling, this may be the highest take of the video, but I think they can make the Final Four. I really do. I believe in this team, so they have good guard play too,
Yeah.
which I've stated a million times in this video. Guard play is very critical. So
Yeah, I agree. For me, their floor is round of 32. Fairly confident that they're going to win their first round matchup. I'm going to say right now for me that their floor is going to be the Elite Eight, but that can definitely change because they obviously are playing at Duke tomorrow morning, which will be a very fascinating game to watch. So I'm excited to see that game. But I just don't know how they would match up against a team like an Arizona or a Duke, however they play them. If they play Duke well tomorrow, they'll probably move up to a Final Four. If they don't, I'll probably keep them at an Elite Eight because of the fact that they're taking care of all the teams that are below them. and I think they'll continue to do that. So
Yeah. All right, the last team of the video, we are definitely saving the best for the last. I didn't purposely try and do this, but it's going to be how it is. We're going to discuss the Duke Blue Devils, who I think is everybody's favorite to win it at the moment. Like, they beat Michigan. They only lost to Texas Tech by a point, and they only have 2 losses on the year. Obviously, their other loss was to UNC, but this team is 1 in KenPom. This team only has 2 losses on the year, both to respectable teams. And this team just has loads of talent. I don't know if it's more talented or not than last year, but obviously they can win the national championship. I mean, it's going to be like 20 or 30% of people's brackets is Duke winning it all. But their floor, it's kind of hard to predict their floor because obviously they blew a game to Houston last year, and I think they'll play a team similar to Houston in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, which is, I don't know. I think their floor is a Sweet 16. I think they could get bounced in the second weekend. So, really, they have a really low floor. Well, at least for Duke standards, they have a low floor, but obviously they can win it all.
yeah, this Duke team, this is a really, really good team. Honestly, I think you could argue this is a better team than last year. Last year they obviously had Cooper Flag, and Con Knuppel, but this team to me feels more balanced. And obviously Cam Boozer's a dog, and he'll probably go top 3, top 5 in the draft. But it's not like he's doing like everything. You know what I mean? Like Cooper Flag
Yeah.
last year was doing everything, kind of like how Zion was. That's why they lost, was because they had the superstar and then they kind of had everyone else. But this whole team to me seems like a really, really good collective group. So to me, this team can absolutely win the national championship. Right? If I had to pick right now, I would probably say they are my national champions as of right now. Uh, so I definitely think they're going to get there. I'm going to say my floor for them is the Elite 8, because you never really know what's going to happen once you get there, man. Like you said, the competition starts to ramp up in that second weekend. So uh, I definitely think if they don't get a favorable matchup, they could be in for some trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely really like Duke a lot this year,
Yeah.
more than I have in other years.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps up today's section or part of this little series that we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna do another part to this. The Big 12 and the SEC will be coming up shortly, but I don't know if we'll get to mid majors. I don't know if you want to talk about them.
If you
but
guys, yeah, if Chad wants to see mid majors, then maybe we can talk about it. But
yeah, we will probably be back at it tomorrow. I assume. I have no idea what time. It really depends, but obviously we got Illinois, Michigan tonight, so
those would
got a
be really
great game
big
to watch,
games.
and
Yeah.
we'll discuss that tomorrow. So until then, we'll see you boys later. Hope you have fun watching the Illinois Michigan game. I'm rooting for Illinois, honestly, because I just want to see somebody beat Michigan other than Duke. But see you boys later. Peace out. See you for part 2 tomorrow.